All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Couch Warrior podcast. Today, I'm going to be breaking down Bellator 285. It happens tomorrow, so today is Friday. Bellator 294 is actually happening right now. I'm excited to go watch it after this show. But until then, we're going to break down the card. Two things to talk about before we start. Two matchups are officially off the card because of weight misses, and both guys actually got cut. Ray Borg missed weight for 125 with Kyoji Horiguchi. They even offered it to him at 135, and he still couldn't make it. So he got cut. His management team dropped him, and then Ray Borg retired, all in the span of one day today. And then with Keani Diggs, he missed weight, and they cut him as well. I don't know the backstory there, why they cut him. I guess they just didn't want to deal with all these weight misses anymore. So we're going to hop right into this card. We've got 12 fights now. And it's a pretty good card. There's only a few fights that I don't really care for, and I've got a ton of bets that we're going to talk about. Let me just load them up real quick. All right, tons of props is mostly what I've got, but we've got a few money lines too, and we're going to hop right into it. So this first fight here, we've got Alexey Shurkevich versus Masayuki Kikuiri. Shurkevich, 13-5-0, 30 years old. He's 6 feet tall with a 73.5-inch reach. Kikuiri on the other side, he's 8-2-1, 3 years younger. Same height, no reach for him. Now, we don't have a lot of recent tape for Kikuiri, but what I can tell you is, first of all, his takedown defense is abysmal. He does not have good takedown defense, and on the ground, he's kind of a fish out of water. On the other side with Shurkevich, you don't have much of a grappler. You do see him on top in a lot of his fights, but that comes from knockdowns or caught kicks. He's not really wrestling, but I do think he's going to have some kind of ground game advantage here. Although I think it's going to be a striking match. Now, because I think it's going to be a striking battle, it comes down to who's the better striker. From what I can tell, it seems to me that it's Shurkevich. I do like Kikuiri's striking. It's nice and straight, good output. He's a bit hittable, though. And Shurkevich, he might be a little bit more wild, but he keeps it in tight. And I just think he's going to be a little bit crisper. I think he's fought the better competition. He did get knocked out in his last fight. Not a great look. Haven't been able to watch that fight. I can't find it, but I think on the feet, it should be him. I do think he should win this fight. I do think it's probably going to come by knockout. And what I did was I played the under 2.5. I played it at minus 115. No, minus 105. And I played it for 0.7 units. I would have done a full unit, but I'm going to bet Shurkevich by knockout as soon as I have that available to me. It was on Bet Online for plus 300, which I like a lot. But they took it down. I'm not sure why. So I'm waiting now to see when it gets brought back up what the price is. If it's not great again, if it's worse than it was before, then I'll just do the under for this fight. But for now, it's that under with 0.7 units at minus 105. And we're going to move on. Did I parlay Shurkevich? I thought I did. But it's not on my slate. I'm going to have to double check. I actually want to check now. Hold on, guys. We're going to go through this right now real quick. I thought I played him in a parlay, but I might not have. I did parlay him. I forgot to track it. I've got him parlayed with two other guys we're going to talk about later for a half unit, though. So not a huge stake on this fight. Keep it small because we can't find a lot of tape on Kikuiri, but I think Shurkevich should have this in the bag. And we're going to move on to this next fight here. So for this one, we've got Ilara Joanne versus Bruna Aalon. Joanne, she's 11-6-0. 28 years old. She's going to be 5'3" with a 64-inch reach. Pitbull brothers for her. Bruna Aalon, 6'4-0. She's going to be 2 years younger. Same height. Don't have her reach. I thought I'd be all over Ilara Joanne here, but honestly, I actually like Bruna Aalon. Joanne, she's very wild on the feet. I don't like it very much what she does up there. She's very hittable. Now, her wrestling is pretty good. She's used it over and over again, but she can be out-grappled too. I mean, Vanessa Porto out-grappled her. That's how she lost that fight. But overall, grappling has been her thing. Pressure, pressure, pressure. That helps her a lot. And she gets those takedowns, and she works from on top. Bruna Aalon, her takedown defense is pretty good, I would say. Like Macfarlane took her down a few times, but Macfarlane's a good wrestler, and she still defended a lot of it. And she actually took a round off of Macfarlane in the first, in my opinion, with the striking. She's a really good striker. She's slick. She's fast. She has good counters. Mixes targets up really well. She mixes in body kicks, which you don't see often. So, yeah, I like Ellen a lot here, and we've seen her own offensive wrestling as well. So she has a ground game too. What I did for this fight was I played Bruna Ellen at plus 166 for a half unit. I didn't want to go too crazy with it because I recognized the ground game of Ilara Joanne, and she's got that dog in her. I don't love betting too much against people who will fight for your money, but I think that Bruna Ellen will also fight for your money, and I think she can keep it on the feet. And if she does, she's going to have an edge there and should win this fight. So she's the pick and the bet, and we're going to move on to our next one. This one is a comedy show. We've got Davion Franklin versus Kasim Aras. Franklin, 5-1-0, 28 years old. He's 6'3" with an 80-inch reach, training out of Jackson Wink. Aras, 7-1-0. He's 35, so he's going to be 7 years older. He's 5'9", so he's 6 inches shorter. Don't have his reach, but the dude is tiny. Now, you can't really take much from him being so small because he's only fought huge heavyweights and he's won all of them. He lost one fight because I've never seen this before. He got disqualified for biting his opponent's chest. Never heard of that before in my entire life. He bit his opponent's chest. I couldn't find a video of it, unfortunately, but that's his only loss. And on the Franklin side, his only loss is that Gom submission. Other than that, he's been winning in Bellator. He had that close split decision with Saeed Salma. The Cummings fight, Cummings was a bum, though. Tower King, bum. Ras Hamilton, bum. For me, playing a side here isn't the smartest thing because Davion Franklin should be the better wrestler. But Aras is at 5'9", he's very stocky, and he's going to be very difficult to take down. I haven't seen his takedown defense tested too much. I've seen his own offensive wrestling. Sometimes he'll just spend way too much time pushing against the cage. Other times he'll quickly get his throws. He prefers throwing and tripping. You don't really see him going for double legs ever. What I like for this fight the most is the over 1.5. That's what I played. I played it for 0.8 units at minus 115. And the reason I didn't do a full unit is because I wanted to do a little bit of sprinkles on Aras because Davion Franklin, while I think he's the better fighter here, probably everywhere, his cardio sucks. And he's not spectacular. He's just regular. He's all right. He's a good fighter, nothing crazy. He shouldn't be minus 450, shouldn't be minus 350, in my opinion. I get the other guy's teensy, but he's decent. Aras doesn't throw a lot on the feet, but what he does throw, it has a lot of power. So what I did with the props was I played Aras by KO at plus 900 for a tenth of a unit, and I played Aras by decision plus 900, tenth of a unit. I know one of those has to lose. Both of them can lose. In that case, I lose 0.2 units. But as the fight gets extended, I kind of just feel that Aras is going to pick up minutes. And on the feet, once Franklin is tired, I think he can knock him out too. I was going to do a round 3 prop, but they don't have them. So I went with the KO instead. It's anybody's fight. Probably Franklin. And that's why my main bet is the over 1.5. I do think we go over with 2 grapple heavy guys and a lot of cage pushing. I do think we're going to hit that over. And then the other 2 props, hopefully they'll hit. One of them will hit. We're going to have to see. I think Aras is very live here. I guess the pick will be Davion Franklin, but the main bet is going to be that over 1.5 at minus 115. And we're going to move on to the next one. I hate this fight. It's boring, not fun. I'm going to run through it and we're going to get out of it. We've got Bobby King versus Aalon Cruz. Bobby King, 12-5-0. He's 39 years old, 5'9" with a 70-inch reach. Cruz on the other side, he's 10-4-0. He's going to be 6 years younger at 33, 3 inches taller, and he's going to have an 8-inch reach advantage. Now, that said, Cruz, he doesn't really use that reach all that much. Like, he fought in the UFC, then he fought 2 times outside of the UFC before Bellator. He has his front kick he really likes to use, and it's great and all, but how about your strikes? Like, how about your hands? He's got an 8-inch reach advantage. He almost always has a huge reach advantage, and he's not really throwing with his hands enough. He could be using that jab and bringing the money to the bank, but he's not. He's hard to trust, and he wrestles often, and I don't like it. It's kind of sloppy. I just can't trust him. Bobby King, to me, he's just medium. He's not elite, but he's difficult to beat unless you're a really good wrestler. You look at the 2 losses in his last 5, Gadzi Rabadanov and Alexander Shabali. He's beating Keanu Diggs, he beat Aviv Ghazali, a bum, and he beat Nick Newell. You know, that was a close fight, and Newell only has one arm, and he did get King down. So I do think Cruz will have some success with the wrestling. But on the feet, it's close. If Cruz threw more, I'd probably give it to him, but Bobby King's probably going to have more output, and he's probably better with the hands. So I actually think Bobby King's live on the feet. And in terms of the grappling, he has good takedown defense. He should be able to keep it up. And on the ground, he's decent himself. My lean, honestly, it's hard for me to even pick a lean. My lean's going to be Cruz just because he's so much younger and he does have that reach and he could use that grappling. But this is a fight you should not touch with your money. I really don't think so. So I'm going to move on. I don't have any bets there. Cruz is going to be the pick, and that's it. Now, Kiani Diggs, I told you guys we're skipping this fight. Diggs missed weight and got cut from the promotion. And we'll move on to this one. So for this one, we got Sumiko Inaba versus Veta Arteaga. Inaba 5-0 undefeated. She's 32 years old, 5'4" with a 64-inch reach. On the other side, Arteaga, she's 7-4-0. 1 second. 35 years old. She's 3 years older. Same height, same reach. And for this fight, I like Arteaga. Inaba's one of these people who the Bellator has been trying to build up. They've been trying to build up. And she's good. She's a pretty good fighter, but against really bad competition. Now, I wish I got the better of this line. Arteaga was a big underdog at some point. I got her at plus 110 for a half unit. Both women are pretty good strikers, but I actually kind of like Arteaga's better. I really like her output. Both of them can wrestle. The takedown defense of Arteaga, it's questionable to me. She did get taken down by Yanez, but her sub game is really good. She's slick on the ground, fought the way better woman. She's got the way better wins. And Inaba has shown some holes. So while I think that both women are good, and I think both women are kind of good at the same thing, I got to lean with the woman who, first of all, is the underdog. Second of all, has fought the way better competition. And third of all, who I actually think is going to be the better striker. So give me Veta Arteaga here. That's going to be the pick. I think it's going to be a close fight. That's why I kept it to a half unit. I wish I got that better price. But as long as she's the underdog, I like Arteaga here. I think it's going to be close, but gotta go with the woman with better experience and the better striking as I see it. And we're going to move on. Next fight up, we've got Kai Kamaka III versus Adli Edwards. Kamaka, he's 10-5-0, 28 years old. He's 5'7" with a 68-inch reach. On the other side, Edwards, he's 9-2-0, 33 years old. He's 5 years older, 3 inches taller, and he's going to have a 4-inch reach advantage. I thought I'd be all over Edwards, to be honest, but I'm not. I'm really not. I don't like his striking enough, and his wrestling is his thing. That's what he does, the grappling, the wrestling, and it's pretty solid. But Kai Kamaka has shown good takedown defense. He's only really getting out-grappled by guys who have very good wrestling. TJ Brown, for example, right? Now, people might say, oh, TJ Brown's a bum. He's a bum. He's a bum. I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think he's a bum. I think he's a good wrestler in particular. And Edwards, he's just not the control. I don't love the control that he's having on the ground. And on the feet, I really favor Kamaka. I think he's going to have the better output, the better striking technique. He's going to land the better shots. More defensively sound, in my opinion. So wouldn't go too crazy on it. He's the second leg of the parlay I have with Shurkevich, but it's only a half unit stake, and that's all I'm doing. Edwards could pull this off if his wrestling is working, if he is able to use that control a little bit better. His sub game is pretty good. That head and arm choke that he used not too long ago is very slick. But I think it's going to be hard to submit Kamaka. Never been submitted. He's got good wrestling of his own. I like Kai Kamaka here. He's going to be the pick, and the only bet with him is a half unit parlay. 3 legs, and we've gone over 2 of them so far, Kamaka and Shurkevich. I want to check something real quick. You guys hear the noise outside. I apologize. I live in a noisy neighborhood over here in New York. Want to check something. Okay, cool. All right, next fight up, we've got Mads Burnell versus Justin Gonzalez. Burnell, 16-5-0. He's 29 years old, 5'8" with the 68-inch reach. Gonzalez on the other side, he's 14-1-0. 5'9", he's 1 inch taller. 4-inch reach advantage for him. Now, I lean Justin Gonzalez here, but it's a really tough fight to break down. So when Burnell lost to Carvalho, I actually think I played Carvalho like plus 300 or something. And he tired out. He gassed out in that fight. That's what happened, in my opinion. The Boric fight, similar. He got tired. Burnell is a very good wrestler. His striking is very solid. He keeps this tight, high guard. And I really like his striking because he mixes it up. He's going to the body really crisp. So you can't count him out at all. And I understood going ham on Gonzalez when he was an underdog. But now that it's Pick'em, it's a tough fight for me to predict because Gonzalez, yeah, he's had some great wins, dominated Andrew Fisher, beat Kamaka, lost to Aaron Pico. We can forgive him there. Beat Taiwan Claxton. Close fight where he did get taken down. Between the Claxton and the Pico fights, I'm a bit concerned here that Burnell will actually have an ability to take him down. Gonzalez, he's credentialed. He's got a wrestling background himself, but I kind of lean Burnell with the wrestling, at least from what I've seen. And on the feet, both are good. Both are good. I think it's close on the feet. I think Gonzalez is very live with his striking. He does have that reach edge. But I think Burnell is also really good on the feet. So I'm completely torn here. I think Pick'em is appropriate. I'm going to try to tape it some more. My gut is screaming Gonzalez. My brain is saying maybe we should think about Burnell, especially if the line flips. I'm going to keep looking at this. I think it might be a buy low spot on Burnell, but Gonzalez is also a stud and he is a prospect, and I am very, very high on him. So right now, the pick will be Justin Gonzalez. No bets from me here. I just don't have any. It's hard for me to predict. I'm going to lean Gonzalez for now. If I do end up betting anything, as always, it'll be on the Couch Warrior Podcast Twitter at Couch Warrior Pod. And we're going to move on. One more thing I want to just double check real quick. All right, cool. All right, let's move on to our next fight. This is one I don't want to spend much time on. We've got Yancy Medeiros versus Charlie Leary. Medeiros 14, oh my goodness, sorry guys. 15, 8-0, 35 years old. He's 5'10" with the 75-inch reach. Leary on the other side, he's 5 years older at 40, 2 inches taller, 1 inch reach disadvantage. Now, Medeiros is the pick, right? And he should win. He's probably going to have a bit more of the more technical striking, and I think he's got a little bit more power. I also like his grappling a bit more. 70% takedown defense is great. That's from the UFC, obviously. Bellator doesn't give us stats. And he did win his debut against, I believe it was Emmanuel Sanchez. Yeah, he was like a plus 300 underdog. And he came in there. I believe he lost round one off the top of my head, and then he won the fight. But look, Leary isn't bad. He's just 40 years old. So he's on the downturn, but he's pretty good. And like the Soren Bach loss, Soren Bach is very good, 15-1 at the time, and he was piecing him up on the feet, was Leary. The Davy Gowan fight, all right, he got knocked out. Before that, he beat Kiefer Crosby. That was pretty impressive. I think he was the underdog there, if I remember correctly. So he's very much so a journeyman, but I just think the line is too wide. Medeiros doesn't do anything where you're like, this guy should be a huge favorite. Like when you have a huge favorite, you want to know that either A, they're going to get a finish, or B, they're going to be so dominant in the wrestling or the striking or both that it'll never be in question of who's winning this fight. I think there's going to be a lot of questions. I really do, and it can get very sloppy. And with the judging we have, I really don't think it's smart to parlay Medeiros at this price. And I can't tell you to pick any particular method of victory. I think we're probably going to go to a decision, but hey, both guys have been finished a ton. Leary's been knocked out 3 times, been subbed 3 times. You look at Medeiros, he's been knocked out 4 times, subbed once, and both guys have finishes. 10 knockout wins for Leary, 2 sub wins for Leary, 8 knockout wins for Medeiros, 4 sub wins for Medeiros. I give the edge in the jiu-jitsu to Medeiros. I actually really like what he does on the ground. And the striking, like I said, is close. Technique, I guess I'll give to Medeiros. Power to Medeiros. Output, I'm going to give to Leary, I think. It's too close for me to get anywhere near Yancy Medeiros at this price. But he's going to be the pick because he is who I think will win the fight. I just don't think you should touch this with your money. It's going to be sloppy, ugly, and just not worth it. And we're going to move on. Now, this fight is mad fun, mostly because it's Pico, but hey, James Gonzalez is cool too. So for this fight, we've got Aaron Pico versus James Gonzalez. Pico is 10-4-0. He's 26 years old, 5'8" with a 70.5-inch reach. Jackson Wink for him. Gonzalez 10-5-0. He's going to be 6 years older at 32, 1 inch taller, 1.5-inch reach disadvantage. Longo Weidman for him. So, look, Gonzalez, he's been active lately. We saw him at the PFL Challenger Series against Vikas Singh Rahul, an absolute bum. And let me tell you, Rahul was landing on him. Right before Rahul got knocked out, it was Rahul who hurt Gonzalez and put him against the fence. So that was questionable to me. The Cody Law fight, he looked good. Props to him. He was a huge underdog. Cody Law was undefeated at the time, and he handed him his first loss. Good job. The Caracappa loss, close fight. I just think Pico is going to be too much. Yeah, Pico has lost earlier in his career, but since then, he's been coming up strong. He did lose to Jeremy Kennedy. It was a shoulder injury, if you guys remember. There was grappling involved. Jeremy was pushing him against the fence, and when the round ended, Pico just walks back to his corner with his shoulder like hanging off, and you see his cornerman trying to stuff that thing back in there, which was so dangerous. They could have messed it up. And, of course, the referee stops the fight. They give the win to Kennedy. Pico lost as a huge favorite. But before then, Adli Edwards beat him up for 3 rounds before getting the finish. Justin Gonzalez, we talked about Gonzalez earlier with Burnell, dominated Gonzalez, submitted Aiden Lee, knocked out John DeJesus, also a good striker. I think that I'm very, very, very confident that Pico wins, whether it's through his wrestling, his striking, whatever it is. I think he wins this fight. I do think he'll have the wrestling advantage here by a long shot. I know Gonzalez has good takedown defense and good wrestling of his own, but I think Pico's on a different level. I think the striking easily goes to Pico. Power goes to Pico. He's just been getting better and better in the striking. I mean, man, look at him recently. And seeing Gonzalez hurt by Singh, seeing Gonzalez get hurt in multiple fights, I have to think that Pico is going to hurt him with the striking. So what I did here was Pico's the third leg of that little half-unit parlay I have with Shurkevich and Kamaka. And what I also did was I played Pico inside the distance at -130 for 1/8 of a unit, and I played him by submission at +800 for 0.125 units. Now, here's my thought process, right? It's entirely possible Pico takes him to a decision through his wrestling if Gonzalez is tough enough. But for 3 rounds, Pico is going to get to do his thing. And I just think the guy gets more dangerous every fight. I think he's going to really hurt Gonzalez. Now, I played the sub prop. I understand that a KO is probably more likely. But if the fight is on the ground, right, for the majority of the fight, and you watch Pico's fights, something he does very often, almost every single fight, is look for submissions, either the back or an anaconda choke from up front. But when he's on the ground, when he's getting the takedowns, or he comes up in front of his opponent with the hands around their head, he's working or looking for submissions. And at +800, I mean, in other books, it was +400. So BetOnline mispriced it, I think, by a margin. So I had to take a shot on that. And I do think Pico finishes him. It'll be disappointing if he ends up winning by decision and we lose those bets. But we can only make our reads, put the money down, and then wait to see what happens. There's nothing else we can do. So Pico is going to be the pick here. The bets are Pico ITD and Pico by submission. And then just a little spot with him on that parlay I told you guys about. And we're going to move on. So for our next fight here, the co-main event of the evening, we've got Ilima-Lei Macfarlane versus Kana Watanabe. Macfarlane 12-2-0. She's 33 years old, 5'4" with a 66-inch reach. Watanabe 11-1-1. She's 34, 1 year older, 2 inches taller, same reach. I like Watanabe here. I like her a lot. I played her early at -115 for 1.2 units. I think the price is getting a little bit out of hand because Watanabe, while she's a fantastic grappler, great judo throws, I really like her work on the ground. Her striking is questionable. Her striking defense is even more questionable. She's getting hurt in a lot of the fights that she has. Alejandra Lara hurt her. Denise Kiel hurt her. Carmouche knocked her out. She's been hurt. She does get hurt. Now, her grappling is fantastic. She uses that to win her fights. And Macfarlane's also a good wrestler, right? So that's where it can get tight. If Watanabe's grappling isn't working, if the throws aren't working, if she isn't able to get that ground control, Macfarlane can make this very close. That's why I think you should be careful when you're betting it with Watanabe being -140 and 150. I wouldn't stake too much. 1.2 is my limit because I think Watanabe can hang on the feet. It's not like Macfarlane is some dramatically good boxer, some Golden Glove or whatever. She's not. But I just think Watanabe's a bit too hittable. and it seems that her chin doesn't take shots too well. So that's a concern of mine. But other than that, I think Watanabe's going to win this fight via grappling with some striking mixed in. It's not like she's a fish out of water on the feet. So I played Watanabe minus 115 for 1.2 units, like I mentioned. And I also played the over 2.5. I got that at minus 145. That line is long gone. I apologize. But I did post it on my Twitter. So if you're on there, you got it with me. And I just think it's a great spot because I don't see a finish here. I think we're going to get a grapple heavy fight that ends in decision. So I like that spot quite a bit. And those are my two plays here. And we're going to move on to our main event. For this one, we've got Raufeon Stots versus Patchy Mix. I am so hyped for this one. Stots 19-1-0. That one loss coming to Merab Dvalishvili via spinning back fist. 34 years old. He's 5'7" with a 72.5-inch reach. Mix 17-1-0. Both guys only one loss. His loss coming to Archuleta by decision almost 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago. 5 years younger. He's going to be 4 inches taller and have a 1-inch reach disadvantage. Now, look, I got Patchy Mix, but I got him early. I got him at plus 165 for a unit. Now he's the favorite, and I don't know about that. I don't know about backing him as the favorite. I think he was correctly an underdog. I thought it was too wide at plus 165. That's why I played it. But as a favorite, I don't know. Because both guys are fantastic wrestlers. Stots, very credentialed. Mix, credentialed in New York especially. They're both good wrestlers. Now, that said, you watch the fights, and Stots, he can still be taken down. You look at the Sabatello fight, right? Sabatello relentless with his takedowns and his grappling, but he got them, and he got control. And Patchy Mix, he might not be as relentless with the takedowns, but he's got a very similar control from top, but even more dominant, in my opinion, because he can take your back, and that figure four is tight. And the way he takes the back, I mean, he did it to Archuleta standing. So I really, really like the groundwork of Patchy Mix. I mean, 12 submissions, and you just watch him on the ground. He's so good. And the wrestling is good, too. Who's got the better offensive wrestling? It's hard for me to say. Honestly, I can't tell you. I lean maybe Stots, but I think it's very close. And once it hits the ground, once we're on the mat, that's where I really favor Mix. On the feet, I think Stots has the edge. Mix is a pretty good striker, but I do think that Raufeon Stots is the better striker. But like I said, I think grappling is going to be the story here. Whoever's going to win is going to be the one who can dictate where they're fighting. It's going to be the one who's getting the better of the grappling positions. And I do think it's probably going to be Patchy Mix because of that jiu-jitsu. And we have seen Raufeon Stots, like he was losing that Archuleta fight until he got the knockout. And I had him there in that fight, and I do think he was losing. And I felt very fortunate that he got that knockout. So for me, give me Patchy Mix. That's going to be the pick. I played him. Like I said, plus 165 for one unit. I don't like the line right now. I don't think he should be the favorite. I'll just be completely honest. So right now at this line, I would suggest to probably pass. I can't blame anyone on Stots. I think it's a super close fight. But I'm very happy with my price. I'm happy with my mix bet. I think he wins the fight. And make sure you're following me at Couch Warrior Pod on Twitter because that's where I post these things the second that I bet them so you guys could tail if you like it. So that's it, guys. That's a card. That's Bellator 295 that we just broke down in less than a half hour. And got a ton of bets. Very excited for the card. If you want my full slate, either watch the video or I'm going to post it tomorrow on my Twitter tomorrow morning once I have everything finished up. I just want to see if there's anything else I want to add. I probably won't. So this is probably all we're getting. But that's it, guys. Good luck this weekend to everybody. And thank you guys all for tuning in once again and for supporting the channel. Please subscribe if you're watching and you like the video. It really helps out. And if you can like and comment the video, it helps even more. So thank you guys once again, and peace out.